Yes, please. Check.
Good morning to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the August gathering to Plenary Session 1 of the two-day International Conference on GST Framework, Transforming Physical Federalism in India, organized by KLE Law College, Bengaluru. The theme of the session is Political Philosophy, Constitutional Foundations and Devolution of Financial Powers, which sets the stage for a meaningful discussion on the constitutional and structural dimension of physical federalism in India. We are truly honored to have among us the eminent jurists, distinguished academicians, and experts who have made significant contributions to the field of law and taxation. It is now my privilege to introduce the chair for this session, Honorable Justice Chidambara Pillai Thurayaraj sir, Puny Justice of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. Honorable Justice Thurayaraja is a distinguished jurist with a remarkable legal career spanning nearly 4 decades. Appointed to the Supreme Court in 2019, his journey reflects excellence across multiple domains of law, from the Attorney General's Department to international judicial service, including his tenure as a High Court judge in Fiji. A historic figure, he is the first Indian origin Tamil to serve on both the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. His expertise in constitutional law, criminal law, and international legal cooperation makes his presence invaluable to the session. On behalf of KLE Law College, Bengaluru, I extend a warm and respectful welcome to you, sir. We are deeply to have you as the chair of these sessions. May I now request Dr. Mahesh sir to kindly come forward and present a sapling to our esteemed chair, Honorable Justice Thurayaraj sir, as a token of our respect and gratitude. It is now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Mr. M.G. Kodandaram sir, Indian Revenue Service retired. Sir is a former Assistant Director in the Central Board of indirect taxes and customs with a remarkable career spanning nearby 4 decades. A master trainer of GST for the Central Board and Indirect Taxes and Customs and a highly respected academician. He has conducted over 3,000 training sessions and has mentored thousands of officers across India. He is also an esteemed author and has been recognized with numerous awards, including the Sanman Award and the Outstanding Faculty Recognition by the Honorable Finance Minister Sri Arun Jaitley. We are privileged to have such an eminent expert share his insight with us today. Welcome, sir. May I now request Mahesh sir to kindly present a sapling to Mr. M.G. Kodandaram sir as a token of our appreciation. I now take a great pleasure to introducing our second speaker, Professor Dr. Aithal sir. Sir is a distinguished legal scholar with over 4 decades of experience in legal education and research. Former Dean of the Faculty of Law at Karnataka University, Dharwad, he has made significant contribution to the constitutional law, human rights, and socio-legal studies. His academic leadership, extensive publication, and dedication to legal education have greatly influenced generations of legal professionals. Currently, serving as an adjunct professor at KLE Law College, Bengaluru, he continues to inspire students and scholars alike. We are indeed honored to have you with you, sir, today. May I now request Soumya, Assistant Professor of Law, to kindly present a sapling to Sir as a token of our appreciation. With this, I now respectfully request the Chair, Honorable Justice Thuri Raja sir, to kindly take over the proceedings of Plenary Session 1. Thank you.
Thank you for the just kind words. And I think I have been given 10 minutes. When we are coming on the stairs or the elevator, we had a secret agreement with my 2 other colleagues, and they said, if you give us 5 minutes of your time, I'll buy you a good coffee, filter coffee, or Mysore dosa and filter coffee. So I agreed to this deal. So I have to give 5 minutes to him. So I'm only left with another 5 minutes. And Professor Aithal said, I'll buy you ice cream. Give me 3 minutes time. So I'm left only 2 minutes time. No, we are not going to bore you. Just very simple. The taxation in many countries, like in Sri Lanka, it's a single law. It doesn't go to the constitution. In Sri Lanka, it's the Inland Revenue Act or VAT Act or a GST Act. That passes, that's all. But if you take India, it is a federal state, that's Union of States. And the central has to run the country. They have expenses, they have to collect the money. The state also need money to run their state. So how do you balance it? Now, for an example, if you want to put a highway from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, who is going to bear the cost? Who is going to do it? So all sort of things comes in. Then comes to the national policy, national defense. If there is a war in one corner, they have a war enough in war wars. And every bullet fired, it costs you about $2-3 million. That is 20-30 lakhs of dollars. Who pays this? So can the state cry and say, you are taking my money, I'm not going to give you? Can the central says, you have to give me money, otherwise I can't defend you? So this is where it comes, uniformity or unity in diversity. That's where it comes in. So for that reason, since it's a federal state, there is an issue with a constitution, which I was reading. I'm sorry, I had to read that in the morning. That is where the constitutional issue comes. The constitution says, you all separate, we will look after you. But the tax law says, no, I am the boss. Give me the money. So this is how we are going to compromise. So this is our theme going to be today and tomorrow. Right? I'll leave it to this. Since I want my ice cream, since I want my coffee and dosa, I have to leave it at that time. So, okay, well, thank you very much. We'll we can have it with the permission of the lecturers. It's even though plenary sessions, don't make submissions, and you can ask a prompt question. You write your question and pass it to the chair, and I will pass it to the respective ones. And we can go on an interactive sessions because they are not prepared speakers. They have to have a reader letter. No, they are very, very influential in this relevant subject. So therefore, you can prepare your question, send the chit to us, either with the name or without name, never mind. I will pass it to them, then we can discuss it. Okay, I think organizers has to pardon me for changing the program. Plenary session, it doesn't happen, but we'll allow you because we are ready for answering your questions. And if there's anything, any other things comes, just put to me. And if we have time, then we'll discuss with it. Okay. Thank you very much. All the very best.
Let's start.
Yeah. We'll start. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I think nearer we are. Still there? Or I may make it telling you that I may take up to good afternoon. I do not know where I go. But I fondly remember the classes on cyber law and cyber forensics taken in this very room long back for our students, which I recollect and move. I am feel it privileged to be present between a great luminaries of law, especially my Guru, Honorable Guru, Professor Dr. V. Vijay Kumar sir, Mallikarjunaya sir, and our Justice Thurai Raju, and more than anything else, the senior most legendary personality in the advocacy, Mr. Ratnakar Aital sir. I am not a doctorate, I am not a professor, I am a wild card entry. That's what I always feel myself. People do give those suffixes. I tell them, no, I don't deserve. I am a person speaking for the people and for the betterment of the society. Both as a bureaucrat when I worked, now I cherish my teaching and other works. I continue to do that, and therefore my journey is that. In that, what comes is the political philosophy. Political philosophy as per constitution. Constitution, whether it needs to be changed or politically, when people in the polity change, their dimensions change, and there are a lot of influences. The persons or the citizens that existed 70 or 80 years ago when we got the independence, and today, the approach or the changes required also need to be taken into consideration, whether it is taken there or not, or how we adapt, followed by devolution of financial powers. To speak on devolution, we can take huge amount of time, but luckily for us, they have said only pertaining to GST framework. So I will only concentrate on GST framework. With this, I'll start speaking to you in a proper way because I have a stage fear. I cannot stand on the stage. I'll come down and speak with you. Is it okay? If this is a micro, that will be better, sir. Okay. So, next slide. I have to use it as a slide mover. Okay, thank you. Constitutional foundation, what our constitution says, whether it has a dynamic element there inbuilt, or we need to go on adding it, and if through amendments, when people see, we see now people saying that no change in the constitution is in danger. Whether it is really in danger, we need to think, rethink. There what I feel the philosophy is moving towards citizen-centric. Every movement should be citizen-centric because we are a democracy. Who is the ruler here? Who is the ruled? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಳುವವರು ಯಾರು? ಆಳಿಸಿಕೊಂಬುವವರು ಯಾರು? ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ ಕಂಬಾರ್ ಇನ್ ಇಸ್ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಾಯಕ ಪ್ಲೇ ಸೇಸ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಳುವವರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆಳಿಸಿಕೊಂಬುವವರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾವೇ ಪ್ರಜೆಗಳು, ನಾವೇ ಪ್ರಭುಗಳು. ವಿ ಆರ್ ದ ಕಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ದ ಸ್ಲೇವ್ಸ್. In other words, this is a house set out for us to rule ourselves. So we should be both working or productively cherishing to see a domestic setup comes and I govern, I dictate, I play a role of both the aspects as a citizen and as well as a ruler of this country. This is more so in a taxation field. I keep on telling. Who pays the tax? It is not the businessman. It is not the department that collects the tax. It is not the professionals who process. It's we, the people of India, man. Who is not paying tax? We are all people first. Then we have one or more roles to play. Kindly look in. At the end, citizen pays tax to run his affairs of the country, and therefore it should be citizen-centric. It should be person who is using it, paying it, contributing it, struggling for it, should be honored, and he should be made to follow the law made by him. And if there is a less compliance, he should punish himself voluntarily. Therefore, we are moving towards always trust-based self-assessment schemes in all taxation fields. Is that clear to you now? So it's all the more important that we drive the citizen to pay taxes for his country. Whether we have achieved, there's a big question mark even now. People keep on telling why people hesitate to pay the tax. The reason, in the morning when we discussed with our Honorable Judge Stace, he was telling the Britishers' legacy to exploit us made us not to pay the taxes, to protest to pay the taxes, because the taxes collected by me goes to Her Majesty. It is not going to be used by me. Today, it's my country. I am contributing for my nation and I am utilizing it for myself, and therefore it must be, I should voluntarily pay the tax. Voluntary compliance emanates from that, and I have been advocating from last 40 years since I joined the department. A lot of people laughed at me. I told them we have to move towards citizen-centric. It's all citizens. There is no need of even administering. Least administration is sufficient. People should be made to pay the tax. Then how do you bring it? That's the inclusiveness we need to bring in both tax collection as well as spending the amount back to the people. In both the ways, we should be transparent, open, and ready for any kind of audit or whatsoever. Then only it is possible to get the confidence back of the people. Whether people are moving in that direction, the answer is yes. We will see in the due course. So individual freedom, social justice, all of them fine. Our professor will speak more on that. But what I am telling is, building a common national identity is important. National identity, that I am a citizen of this country, I should produce, I should pay for my country, and I should see that it is spent to the people of this country. I have the responsibility both as a person to govern as well as to work for it as a slave. That should be the idea of democracy we should cherish now. Coming back, in Sarkaria report itself, they have said, Constitution is not static format but a dynamic process. It's a living document made suitable with changes in the society. And the change is to look after that inclusiveness. Inclusiveness. Kindly note how we were doing transactions 50, 60 years ago and today. How we are doing. How we are exploiting the fintech technology to make digital payments. I think Smallest of the smallest vendor, when you want to give money, you will say, sir, use QR code. That is all. Once he gets into the QR code, he is an inclusive into the financial element, and once that comes into, all others will get adopted automatically. Therefore, the people are willing to get into the system of transparency. They see it, but we are not able to get it done other than digital technology. And there are certain forces still working against it, which we need to defeat. And therefore, inclusiveness is the criteria. Unless people are willing to build their nation, making their national identity, respecting the constitutional values, we the people of India, whatever we have cherished in our preamble, to redeem, we need to work towards it. That is what inclusiveness I speak of. The fiscal federalism in India through transparency. What is fiscal federalism? I ask the people in the classrooms, you want central government to be strong? Sir, yes sir, it should be very, very strong. You want state governments to be strong? Sir, state government should be strong. My tax, my state, that's the right. I tell them, we are not grown in the democratic setup. We don't want central government to be strong, state government to be strong. We want the will of the people to be strong. That is more important. The will of the people. You are the ruler. You are selecting the legislation. And therefore, the people should become strong in their nation building, and thereby taxation also gets cherished automatically. It grows. And that's what is happening. I remember Palkiwala, great speaker. In fact, I used to run around the Vidhan Saudha to listen. Even people used to say, budget is presented by the government only to Palkiwala to speak. I think as youngsters you would have enjoyed his speech. He used to say, come on, cut down the rates, you will get more income tax. His book, We the People, nowadays it is very unfortunate being sold on the roads. Kindly buy that second-hand book at least and read that book. There is a beautiful chapter on taxation. He says, reduce the tax rate, reduce the compliance methods, make the people become honest taxpayers. That's the way you can collect more. And that's what we have moved from the income tax, when he said was around 70%, 80%, we have come to 25% average. And in GST, we have reached 5% now. And therefore, you can redeem people by getting the confidence of the people back into the system. This is how taxation should be driven in the constitutional spirit, according to me. No doubt there is a regional disparities are possible. Some states were given special status, as our sir was telling. That was naturally so. And one more thing is, we have to move towards consumption-based taxation in the indirect taxation. Because where more people reside, they require more amenities, and the taxes paid by them should be driven to their exchequer. Otherwise, it's impossible. I recognize you. Wonderful. So that's what is very, very important. Where the money paid by more number, if it is a state like Bihar or UP, which we are saying they have no contribution to GDP, today as against it, you go and see. Because they got back after GST, the money they have been spending was going to the other developed states. Now it has come back. And therefore, consumption-based tax has brought that citizen all the more confidence to work towards building strong India and allow the regional disparities to disappear. So the times of finance commission, planning commissions, I don't have to speak much. I think yes. We were talking about the federalism. We are talking about only center and state. Kindly looking, the money should come to each village panchayat, block panchayat, district panchayat, rural local government. There they have to be made financially strong so that the people residing in those regions get the benefit. A big city like Bangalore, doesn't conduct its corporation elections for so long, then you can imagine the tragedy the state governments and the central governments are doing. They are trying to hoard the money for themselves for the reasons best known to all of you. That's a very, very tragic aspect of federalism being failed unless it goes to each one of them. So what we can call it as quasi-federal and all this, you read in the book, I don't want to spend time on that. What is more important here is division of powers, where we had seventh schedule, entry 1, 2, 3, 4, no, sorry, what is that? List 1, central list, list 2, state list, list 3, concurrent list. How we have divided. From there, we have migrated to a common platform, Article 242A. How we will wait, kindly look in. So from there, what we have done is, we are moving towards cooperative federalism, wherein taxation powers, distribution of revenues, grant in aid, institutional mechanisms are happening, and we are moving towards pooled sovereignty. Central government, you don't take sovereignty as a matter of right to you. State governments don't tell that you are sovereign. People should become more sovereign, and you have to share. When people's will wants a easy taxation system, you need to come together. I remember in National Law School, we had a conference which was recollecting Mr. Modi of Bihar. He had presided there. He was telling, he was the empowering committee at the time, where he said, yes, this is what is important, pooling of the sovereignty. At the end of the day, we need to look into the aspirations of the people. We are together. We are maybe in the state or center or working in different roles in this society. We are all citizens. We should move towards making the citizen happy. If the citizen is happy, I am also happy, you are also happy. Whatever may be the role you are playing, that also makes happy. So federalism, it is not central government or regional entities. It is a shared issues and responsibilities. We are working for a welfare of each one of us. So it's a responsibility shared by everybody, whatever may be the role you are playing in the society. Maybe a businessman, maybe an entrepreneur, maybe an employee, maybe an academician, maybe a professional, or maybe in the part of the government or administration. You are first a citizen and then next. That is the thing we need to look in. Here, I don't want to spend much time. I think I have to get back. पीछे जाओ, इतना नहीं जा रहा है. This one. Okay, next one. Okay, don't. Other button only I'm pressing. This. Next I want. I will use it here, man. Narayana. Here, kindly look into the impacts. We were talking about cooperative federalism, slowly moving towards competitive federalism, where each state was competing with each other. That's what our guests were telling. Yes, it is happening. Earlier, we had Niti Aayog 73rd and 74th amendments were done, where we should have strengthened the Panchayat Raj, which we have never done as the situation warrants. We are moving towards Vikasit Bharat, ease of doing business reforms, make in India, vocal for local, all this, all of them come under that head. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, that's inclusivity. Sabka Vishwas. You should love your country. You should work productively for the welfare of your country. And sabka prayas रहना चाहिए, नहीं तो नहीं होगा. यही सच है. Then you look in what are the impacts. Yes, we have. Strengthens the national integration, develops inclusive growth in the cooperative federalism, but in the competitive federalism, there is some negative aspects. Kindly look in. So as far as competitive federalism is there, I feel it is not suitable for taxation. For the taxation purpose, we have to be in the cooperative federalism. That's my opinion, sir. Now my work will really start. I don't have to explain the sun god. All of you know. It's said taxes are like sun god taking away all the water on the earth only to give back in a much purer form 10 times more than that. It is not written by any economist. It is written by a literary figure, Kalidasa, in his book Raghuvamsha Deepika, speaking on how King Dilipa ruled over this country. Kindly look in the ancient time. We never chose to steal money or evade taxes. We were willing to be part of the society. From there, we contaminated due to external aggressions. We said, why should we pay tax? When we pay the tax, it is not given to me. It's going back. So that kind of mindset has set in for nearly thousands of years of tyranny. Now, after we become freedom, to get back to the mood of the erstwhile period where I was struggling and working for my country, should again give this national identity, national integrity aspect to each one of you. If you look into the ancient times, Kautilya says a nation can exist only if it has the 7 principles. One is Swami, second is Janapada, the people, then the ministers, sovereignty, Kosha, Durga, Mitra. Even today they are relevant. Only Swami is again Janapada elected Swami. So you have to make slight change in the democratic value. So we should elect a fellow who will be like the erstwhile kings, who takes care of the welfare of the people. There, all others come in. For me, most important here today talk is the Kosha. Without Kosha, there is no Desha. The nation will not exist if there is no money in the treasury. Even if there is no money in my pocket, doesn't matter, but my treasury must be full. We have seen the countries around the globe are vanishing because they don't have proper kosha to defend themselves. That's the tragedy. We have seen, especially due to globalization, unless I strengthen my purchasing powers by exporting, by doing such kind of activity where I earn for my nation, I will not be able to buy anything. That's the situation. Balance of payment as balance of trade is a big issue. And coming to the national one, no doubt people who doesn't have money in their country are poor. Don't be under that impression. There in sections they are filthy rich, but they don't contribute to the nation. That is the difference. Here, everybody should contribute to the might possible. It is just like more and more people join the race, inclusivity of paying, the burden will come down. It is Nimmur Teradage. I think most of you can follow the Kannada also. If 10 people pull the cart, it is impossible. 20, very difficult. 100, fine. 1,000 people, it will move like anything. So also the inclusivity as well as increasing the base of taxation. More and more people start paying GST. Now the rates have come down. If you look into the prior to GST, the rate was at the helm of highest 33%. We fixed it at a very less rate. Now today it's almost all of them are 5% or 18%. So the benefit is driven back and the tax collection has increased. With 5%, tax collection has increased. Then you can see the increased economic activity as well as the transparency that has set in due to digital age have played a very key role. And therefore, we should always think king is not the law. Law is the king. Who should rule? The constitution should rule each one of us. It is not the prime minister or the chief minister who will be ruling us. The aim is, we should say, constitution through rule of law, set out or guided in the legal theories, legal jurisprudence. That's the real organic element that runs the nation. That's the organic matter that should be cherished by each one of us. So what is that tax? I don't want to spend, but I want to go for our historical definition. The king could levy taxes according to the Shastras. All our scripts starting from Manu depend on that. So also our constitution. If you go to Article 265, speaks of no taxes can be collected without an authority of law. That's what. There must be a law and it should be prescribed to be an authority in the constitution and it should be collected as prescribed in the constitution. And therefore, times have changed, but the law have remained same. Kindly note that. And then what are the canons of taxation, our wealth of nation? Adam Smith speaks of the equity, certainty, economy, convenience, and the modern ones, another 8 or 10 they have added, remains the same dynamic approach of the taxation even today, and it will remain forever in the same strength. Yeah, I'll do that, sir. I never knew that I'll be losing time so fast. Time is running against us, but I'll try to concise in another 5 minutes if chair permits, 5 minutes. You can look in how citizen is important. Here are constitutional articles which I have already explained. Govind Saran Ganga case, you have read, I think, in your classrooms. I don't want to spend time on that. We will straight away go to some of the cases on federalism in the GST era. Somebody should help me here. Otherwise, it's not working. I don't know. Next, we can go straight ahead. Here. The first case is, this is what is important. 5 minutes I'll spend on these cases only. Rest, the theoretical aspects are not. The first case on GST, on Union of India versus Mohit Mineral, came in 2018. This is a very, very important case law where it established that GST law made is very much well within the constitutional limits. It heralded a new era that GST regime is the proper way. The issue started with Mohit Minerals, who are all importing coal. They were paying, kindly look into the first area, in addition to basic customs duty, they were paying clean energy cess on the coals imported. And they were using CIF value. This I am giving because the another Mohit case I am going to use that line. Cost, insurance, freight. In imports, the value of the imported goods is based on the cost of the material, insurance, freight, marine freight to bring the goods till it reaches the Indian shore. That's the value with which they pay. But there automatically in the GST era, we said no more clean energy cess. You have to pay compensation to state cess. At that time, he broke out and said, sir, in GST, you said no more cess will be there. You are making one more cess here available. Why you can impose one more cess? Where is the provision? There is no provision to levy cess. It's a color imitation you are trying to do, and therefore you should not. And also he refers to section 18 of the Constitutional Amendment Act, 101st, where it says compensations shall be paid. It doesn't say compensation making another law will be paid. These are all the important questions. Next slide. 5 important questions which we ask every day on GST were asked. Whether the said act is beyond the legislative competence, whether the said act violates constitution, whether the said act is a colorable legislation, whether the levy of compensation to state cess and GST on the same taxing event is permissible in law, whether the basis of the clean energy cell, can he use it to pay the clean energy cess amount, that is to pay state taxes. The court rejected all his pleas. The court's decision, kindly download the PDF file and read it, and it will give you a very good opening remarks for you what is Indian GST is all about. You don't have to refer any book. Just download this judgment. The judiciary has done beautiful work on this and they have explained. You can skip 2 or 3 slides, sir. Then at the end he says, unless the law provides for it, it's a federal system, you cannot intervene. You can have common base for both of them because there is an Article 246A which is made, and on the common base you can impose 2 different imposts. There's the state levy, there's a central levy, CGST, SGST, both of them empowered by each state to levy, and therefore it is within the competence. Kindly go through this case. Due to lack of time, I move to the another one. Here the federalism, cooperative federalism was upheld. Another case of the similar name, here it's previous one. You can go to the previous slide. Union of India Mohit Limbal in 2022. In this case, the party brought materials into India. He was paying duty and the basic customs duty, and he was asked to pay GST again on the freight element. He argued, in customs I have already paid on the CIF value where freight has been allowed. You are asking me to pay GST again on the freight, but it is a cost insurance freight, CIF price, and I am an importer. The freight is paid by my exporting person in that country, and why should I be called as a recipient? I am not a recipient to that contract. Why should I? The law at the time, section 5(3) of the IGST Act was saying the importer should pay under reverse charge mechanism as though he is treated as a recipient. The court said he is not a recipient. The recipient is the exporter in the other nation. Secondly, since this is a CIF, you have to go to section 8 of the CGST Act, which talks about the composites way, how you have to look in. You cannot break that contract, and therefore you cannot levy on the freight again the element of GST. It's a very important case where federalism was also invalidated. In this case itself, the formation of GST Council got a fillip saying that what GST Council can do is only a recommendation. And that recommendation to become a law, state government should bring SGST Act and its notification, CGST Act and its notification, and then it becomes the law at a future date. We are seeing GST Council happens, it comes out with lot of suggestions, recommendations, but they are not the law. They are going to be implemented by enactment from the state as well as the centers, and then at a future date, so that people get informed way how much tax they have to pay. So there is that kind of inclusivity set in due to this. The another important case is whether royalty taken by the states on the mineral are a part of tax or not, or is it other than the tax. There was a lot of confusion. Earlier courts held royalty is nothing but tax, but in this case court said royalty is not a tax. It's a separate right where there is a separate taxing execution under MMDA Act is possible and states can collect, and it went for retrospective effect of those bills, which was also upheld by the Supreme Court, and they said states can collect taxes. So there states also have a stake. Very, very important case. In this Alliance University have published one article. I'll send it across, sir. Kindly share it with the children. So it's the one which explains what is a tax, what is a cess, and what is a royalty, why royalty is neither a cess or this one, and it's separate one. That's how we need to learn. The last one is, 1 second, sir, last case, because this is a law college I have to speak on. The VKC Footsteps India Limited case, very important case. As you know, there are 2 types of refunds that are given. One is when you export the goods, it is treated as zero rated. All your taxes that are accumulated in the input tax credit are refunded. Similarly, if there is a lower rate on the final product, taxes paid by you on the purchase gets accumulated. It's called inverted duty structure. You can take the refund. Both of them are covered under section 54(3) of the CGST Act, but there in the rules, they made a differentiation. If it is exports and SEZ, section 16 of the IGST Act read with that, and they said on invoice service, input services also are eligible, but if it is inverted duty, the service aspects is not available. This was questioned, saying that why you are doing differentiation. Court would have interfered. It's both of them are under same section. But court said no, it's a legislative competence. GST Council is there. They can change this, saying that this should be for this or not. We cannot take the decision. We should not interfere in the GST Councils, and it respected their federalism. Later on, it said GST Council may take it up. Luckily for the people, GST Council accepted this and they said we will give. The last in this case, I am going to trouble you, sir. This is the last one. Next. The recent, previous one. This is a beautiful case of Karnataka. That's what I wanted to tell. Krishna Kumar, sir, Justice Krishna Kumar's judgment. If the government gets the money and it can give the credit, but it says if there is a fraudulent activity, you don't. So there is a clause in the section 16(2)(3) saying that, see, if there is non-payment of tax by the supplier, the recipient will not get ITC if there is a fraud. But if there is a fraud, then you will have to reverse, you have to pay tax with interest. But in this case, there was no fraud. The petitioner said, I have no way means to know that the person who supplied me has not paid, remitted the money to the government. I don't have the facility today. And therefore, I should not be denied. If I had done a fraud, yes, I will reverse. Or you can see the three conditions. Transaction is genuine. Yes, it is a genuine transaction. Invoice is valid invoice. I have actually received the money. Payment also I have made. But I don't have method to see whether that payment he has remitted to government or not. As I am not put into this facility, I cannot watch that and you can't trust me that responsibility. So this is where inclusiveness of the taxpayer was also appreciated, and it's a court said. Krishna Kumar has given saying that when he is not enabled upholding the fairness and reasonable under Article 14 of the Constitution, he read down 16(2)(c) and said it should be read. 16(2)(c) is applicable only when one of these conditions are there. If it is not there, you have to allow him. With this, I ask him, seek the permission of the court or the justice to stop my talk. Others you can read.
Yeah.
They're all
I'm
normal
sorry.
things.
Okay, a round of applause. I know the most villain is me now because one of the best lecture I have ever heard. I think the organizer should consider of taking him for 2-hour lecture to the students. I think that will be better in justification to his one. Next one is Professor Aital. And if you have any questions, please send to us and we will try to accommodate because we are running late with the next session. We don't want to delay it. And Professor Aital will be taking 15 minutes now. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Chairman, Honorable Mr. Justice Dore Raja, Mr. Kodandaraman, having special experience in administration of GST, and my dear colleagues, Principal Jaya Mallikarjunaya, Professor Vijay Kumar. In fact, I am not going to speak, take more time, as it is already, in fact, that the session is being extended. In fact, I am going to speak some fundamental principles regarding distribution of revenue in a federation. Normally in federal constitution, so every power, governmental power has to be distributed between a general government and as many regional government as possible. So that is why India is a union of states, and the sovereign powers of India is distributed or divided between a union government and the regional government, and then one more by virtue of that 74th Amendment. So there are three levels of distribution of power has been undertaken in the Constitution so far. And we have, that of course there are so many criticisms against Indian Constitution, whether it is federal or quasi-federal or so the unitary with subsidiary features, etc. So when it normally three principles govern the distribution of power, whether it is legislative power or executive power or financial powers. Normally, under the original scheme of Indian Constitution or any other federal constitution, subject of national importance must be given to the union. Subjects of local relevance should be given to the states, and some subjects may have both national as well as local dimensions. So they were given to the states. In fact, since beginning adoption of this constitution, so the provisions of financial distribution, allocation of resources, provisions in the constitution have been severely amended, particularly provisions relating to sales tax and others. And in fact, by 86 amendment, that we have made certain changes in 1996, whereby in fact the entire power of granting aid has been given to, in fact, Finance Commission. And we have revising, of course, the every 5 years, Finance Commission used to make recommendation as to the distribution of revenue, and one important aspect that is called allocative functions. So what taxes and what expenditure should be divided between the central government and state governments. Normally, in fact, that taxes, excise duties, custom duties earlier, in fact, even there are several taxes since were allocated to the states. But because of this problem of what is called as harmonization, in fact, that so there is no hard and fast rule in distribution of subjects between union and the states. That is why Professor Vijay Kumar has told that there is no one single federalism. So different principles are adopted. And then, of course, Dugashak himself has found that the federal governments are now moving more and more centralized policy making and legislation and decentralized administration and application. That is the reason why, in fact, that so the states, once we try to give more policy making powers and legislative powers to the central, naturally state governments, problem of autonomy. So since Sarkaria Commission and since beginning, this is the problem. States have very less powers. Subjects given to the states are less. Their financial powers are less, and therefore they cannot function effectively. That is why, that we want more share in the central. Once, there was taxes on electricity. So the state government used to impose. But after central electricity grid was formed, a constitutional amendment was made, and that taxes were abolished. Because the states, again, there is another political factors. In India, most of the states are not properly administering. In fact, that those states which generate more income, they more tax. In fact, 40% of the central government revenue comes from 4 states only. Another 28 states, so they only take That is why the Sidramaya so always claiming that we are more contributing, but we are receiving less. That is the reason why, that subject-wise allocation. So whereby in the harmonization of subjects, but then in fact there is again the problem of some states are rich because of natural resources and also human resources, whereas other states remain backward, and therefore, even in the original constitution there is provision for granting aid, and now in fact that which we call transfer functions. So how much we should transfer, depending, there is an economic calculation of grade 1 states, grade 2, grade 3. And thereby, in fact, that but this grade 1, grade getting more share in the central revenue by way of granting aid, but their contribution by way of taxes are limited. That is why the state governments used to murmur that we give more tax, but we receive less grants. That is why the GST is for harmonization in a sense that, both, of course, GST rates are almost same for both center and as well as states. CGST, then state GST, and then one integrated GST also is there for imported goods. So that is why. So in case of integrated, again, that for the purpose of this distribution of revenue, we have made an arrangement, that is GST Council. In fact, this GST Council, as per 279A, so it has become a more powerful body than even the parliament in respect of distribution of revenue between the states, and therefore some states, the normally states subject to central living, because the main problem is in GST, the power is given to the central government or now GST Council to determine the various slabs. So that is why 4 slabs from 5 to 12, 18, and then 41 sin goods. But then the sin goods problem is, in fact, even earlier also states used to classify certain goods as sin goods, and so that they used to levy 48%, particularly the poor states or this socialist pattern states, that they used to charge tax heavily on sin goods. That is why, that, the powers are, in spite of that, states' revenue generation is subject to criticism. That is this GST has an advantage in the sense that earlier, of course, most of the state governments, they fail to collect taxes, whereby, that poor pay more tax rather than the rich. So that is why, the GST, at least it harmonizes to a certain extent, and the tax slabs will be same. And then, of course, that for, there are, of course, provision for what is called as distribution. So in fact, distribution of revenue, that is why, that transfer provisions, according to economists, some states may collect more taxes. And that is why that 11 exception states are there, whereby they are entitled to certain additional grants because they lack resources, or in fact, that resources should be generated by the people, and also it depends upon industry of people as well as availability of natural resources and its exploitation. So there are some states, in fact, that in India remain poor, not because of lack of natural resources, but because of inability of the political system to tax properly and collect. So that indirect taxes are, of course, there is a lot of variations before the introduction of GST. And to that extent, of course, GST has a very good role to play in enhancing, of course, the state's ability to collect more taxes. So the people cannot be sovereign. If all are sovereign, then no sovereign. So that popular sovereignty is an excuse for our politicians to justify certain things which cannot be justified. And that is why, so that at least in fact, that even if the certain states' ability to collect more taxes are less compared to others, so GST will to a certain extent help in those states to improve their administration. And in fact, of course, redistribution is possible through GST. That is another advantage of GST, whereby so the by virtue of this Article 279A, so some states excess revenue that is generated can be transferred to the development of the backward states. In fact, of course, backward states in India are regions. They remain backward not because of material resources, but because of what we call moral bankruptcy of political process. So in fact, politics is governed by two basic ethics. One principle is, so the ethics is that every decision of the government must be to promote the interest of legitimate interest of the individuals, and secondly to promote what is called as public interest. So in India, of course, the most of the decisions of the government do not or cannot be justified in terms of what we call public interest. So that is in fact, that, so anyhow I was asked to speak only for 15 minutes. That is the reason why, in fact, that, so the GST is based on, of course, these three principles. One is allocation of subjects of taxation, then distribution of resources from weaker regions to the strong regions or economically forward regions to weaker regions. And thirdly, it ensures what is called as harmonization and so overall distribution of revenue in the country, because entire federalism is a government that is to make the governance effective, where large number of population, large states can be easily governed by what is called as division of sovereign powers. With this, I would like to conclude, and at the same time, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
Professor, that's really, really excellent. It's like our Tirukural, just in 2 lines, writes books and books out of it. Let me say it, summarize. If there's any questions, we can take it. Okay. Okay, fine. So I have been overruled by the organizers. No questions, nothing. It's simple. May I just leaving a note before we depart. It's very simple. GST, you can see as a lawyers or law students, you can see GST with the Constitution. What is the Constitution theory says, what is the constitutionalism, and how the tax comes into operation. That's one. How does the people sees it? If the moment you say GST, the people sees Central is robbing the people and we are not, all sort of things. It is what happens, the politicians misinterpret to get the vote and to keep them in the power. What they want is they want the tax collection to the state. Then only it comes. I think I was giving the answer to one of the child, saying that he asked a very important question, who is the boss or who is the king? He will say, by the people, for the people. No. Very simple. Your politicians are the kings. Now just see, you wait in the bus stand to get a bus. And a politician, the person who elected you elected him, goes in 25 cars. Right? That day I was in Vijayawada to go to Mumbai. And I found, they said, sir, please wait out. And you won't believe, 47 Fortuners came. 47 Fortuners. Then I'm told that's the deputy CM is going. Okay. I didn't know, okay, so much. Even the airport couldn't take such a number of vehicles. So who pays this? Now you understand why the state wants to collect the tax. Okay, so I leave it to the things. Now you have to understand the constitution, law, concept, and the media and the politicians play. And you should be able to explain to the person what you feel and what is correctly, rather than taking the politician's word as your word, because that brings the unity of the country. If there is a war, who is going to defend? Now, for an example, there is a war, who manufacture the weaponries? It's the state. You know that we have the arms and manufacturers. So then do they pay extra for it? No. So those are things just leaving apart. Thank you very much for the organizers. I could see Dr. Mice is impatient. Thank you. All the very best.
Thank you so much, sir. Due to time constraint, we request all the participants to kindly send their questions to the official email ID of the conference. We will respond to them accordingly. So as we concluding our plenary session 1, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the session. At the outset, I extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed chair, Honorable Mr. Justice Idambara Pillai Thurairaj sir, for presiding over this session and for his valuable presence. May I request Dr. Mahesh sir to kindly present a memento to the sir as a token of our respect and gratitude. I also express my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speaker, Mr. M.J. Kodandram sir, for his insightful and enriching address. May I request Dr. Mahandesh sir to kindly present a memento to sir. I extend my sincere thanks to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Aital sir, for his enlightening and thought-provoking session. May I request Maimun ma'am to kindly present a memento to sir. I would also like to express my deep sense of gratitude to our respected principal sir, Professor J. Mallikarjunaya, for his constant support and encouragement. I extend my sincere thanks to the IQAC coordinator, Dr. Manoj Kumar V. Hiremat sir, and also the vice principal, Dr. Anida ma'am, for their guidance and support. And also thanks to the conference heads, Mahesh sir, Dr. Vishnu Prasad sir, and Dr. Madhusudan sir, along with all the faculty coordinators for their dedicated efforts in organizing this session successfully. Finally, I thank all the participants for their effective presence and engagement. With this, I conclude my vote of thanks. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
Please be seated. I know we will be taxing you in the GST conference because the speakers are right now here itself. So please bear with us. Thank you.